Okay, tape 1 monitor. This is the patch I was talking about before. That's that 2-track A button on the board. Anything that's patched into those 2 patch points, tape 1 monitor, goes right to the monitors if you hit that 2-track A button on the board. The last button I showed you over there. And what you see if you look at the patch I have, taking the 1 and 2 outs of Pro Tools out, 1, 2, going right into tape 1 monitor. So all of our tracks on Pro Tools are assigned to 1 and 2. And come up easy that way. Only problem with that is, if I patch that way, something to bear in mind for the test, if I patch that way, I do not have the ability to send anything out to the performer's headphones. It only goes to my monitors. The other switch I was just showing you, the alt monitor switch, comes up on the patch bay here. Alt monitor out. So the output of that switch comes into those 2 patch points. Not going to be too huge of a deal until you get down to mixing. Comes into those 2 patch points, and then way down here, on this little auxiliary patch strip here, we've got direct inputs to those self-powered speakers. They're the 5.1 system. Left, center, right, and obviously the rear channels are there and the subwoofers over there. If I patch Alt to left and right, like that, when I hit that Alt monitor button, you'll be able to toggle between the Dynas and the JBL cell phone. Just grab the marker tool here and play something for you. Again, since you're, well, Connor, one of you guys are closest, if I play it, why are we not hearing anything? Is the 2-track A button pushed in still? Okay, push that 2-track A button down. Okay, now you can hit the Alt button. Now you get the JBL. Groovy? So that allows you to hear the mix, your mix sounding through 2 different speakers. Cheaper and more expensive. Cheaper is important to have in your studio because that's going to be closer to what most people who actually have speakers now are going to hear at home. As far as the rest of the patch bay goes, the one general thing I always tell people to keep in mind, this thing was set up in 1973. It was set up in 1973. Any technology that postdates 1973 is going to be in one of these extra patch bays. Here, here, or not here. These 3 strips were put in 73. So the ins and outs of the mixer, for instance, the first mixer that was in this room was a 12-channel board. So what you'll see is board in 1 through 12 are the first, and that's line level in. 1 through 12 are the first patch strips. 13 through 24 are on this little add-on guy down here. The old analog 8-track, which there's always been some kind of analog 8-track multi-track deck in this room. Its outputs are here. And normal to inputs on the board that I mentioned earlier, board the monitor in 17 through 24. Board's bus outs, normal to the 8 tracks in. So all the older technologies up here. There are a couple different, the alt monitor is added in that section. The new signal processors are up here. But it's really just a question of reading it and understanding some of the shorthand on the board. And some of the lies. Like 8-track 1, the way the patch bay is labeled here, 8-track 1, this deck, out, is supposedly normal to board monitor 1. Well, it's not. It's normal to board monitor 17, not 1. Just those are little things you have to kind of remember. Your Pro Tools I/O are all down here. Channel direct outs are over here. Inserts for channels 1 through 16. We do not, there are things wired in this room. They're wired a certain way because it's a school. Everything's not wired up the way you would wire it in a real studio because we want there to be curveballs in here for you and things that make you have to think about how your signal chain is set up. And this is one of them. Inserts are only available on channels 1 through 16. Could we wire up 17 through 24? Of course we could, but we don't because we want you to have to think about stuff. So if you need to insert a processor, if you know you're going to need to, say, insert one of these limiters on a channel, you're going to have to get it off of channels 17 through 24 and bring it in someplace else. Bring it in on 1 through 16. Here back system and your aux ends are on this strip. Again, because the original board had something like 4 aux ends, and this one has 8 that are actually 10, because the last 2 are stereo. We never had this sort of multi-channel here back system, so they're on an add-on patch bay. The main tip I can give you is when you come to the patch bay, take your time and just read it and try to remember where the little shorthand things and errors and stuff are. That's the best tip I can give you. The other thing I would say, if you've got a good focus on this, pretend my index finger is your eye. If somebody said, okay, patch me in, patch a reverb in on aux end 1, don't do this. Don't look like this. Don't just kind of like look all around. The best thing to do is just to have an attack plan. I'm going to start here, and I'm going to read across, and then I'm going to go here, and then I'm going to go here, and I'm just going to keep reading across until I find, oh, aux end 1. And what was that reverb? Oh, the lexicon. I passed that already. So put a marker there, maybe plug a cable in there, and I go back. Where's the lexicon reverb? Where's the lexicon reverb? Oh, there it is. You'll get to things faster that way. If you always have sort of an attack on, start at the top left and read to the bottom right. And just take your time. Don't panic. Take your time and read each thing. Well, what the fuck is board in? Oh shit! Now I've really screwed you up with YouTube.
It's all right.
Board in. What's this? Multi-jack. Oh my God! What's a multi-jack? He never talked about that. It's a patch point that's connected to another patch point. So that patch point is wired to that one, is wired to that one, is wired to that one. So I could send one signal in and get 3 outs. I could split my SMPTE code up and send it to 2 different sources to drive 2 different things. So you know how often the multi gets used.
It's like a Zach Morris.
Doesn't
Freeze, Saved by the Bell.
Oh my God.
Okay. So that's that. All right. Your processors. Okay. There's your power up and power down procedures up there. You're not expected to memorize them. Just read it. Again, that's going to be probably like the second thing you have to do. Second thing you have to do on the test is power up. Shouldn't be a problem. Just read it. The only thing right now that's a little weird is this says power up the 192 I/O. This is not called a 192 I/O. It's called an HD I/O now. I'm going to have to update these and get them relaminated and hang them again and everything, but in the meantime, just know what the I/O, the interface, that's an interface, that's an interface. AB. Okay. Power up in this order, power down in that order. And that's it for this stuff. Do you want to pause and do the